put on here second reading or passage by suspending of the rules. My recommendation here on this one, because of the significance to the village of Addyston, not so much the village of Cleves, is that we will have Justin explain the resolution, how it came about, why it's of significant importance to the village of Addyston. And I want to be clear before I turn him loose on this, okay, because it's important that we understand what is or isn't going to happen when NES closes down, okay? And so I'm going to let him explain how the water system works over there and why it's such a concern to Addyston, which also is having extreme financial issues, okay, where they were not able to even execute a grant that's going to pay for infrastructure improvement from Greater Cincinnati Water. Now, he may not get into that, but I want you to understand, they've got problems over there, right? And they're looking for solutions. Go ahead, Jeff.
This is a resolution granting the administrator the authority to execute a contract to supply bulk water to the Village of Addyston. This all comes about, after many meetings with the Village of Addyston, their public utilities and water board, the Ohio EPA, and RCAP, which is the Rural Community Assistance Partnership. You know, Addiston's not rural, but RCAP serves community water systems that are under 10,000 consumers. So, in communication, coordination with all them, they recommended that I submit a grant to the Ohio EPA for regionalization. That regionalization initiative is to take our water main from Consolidated Grain around Java Jackets, if you're familiar with where that is, Consolidated Grain. Our water main currently ends right in that area. This would extend our water main down US 50 towards daycare and car wash, where we would tie into Addyston's existing system. We would put in a master meter so we could read the flow that goes through and also put a pressure reducing valve on. Our pressure is around 170 PSI, and Addiston's system can only handle around 60 or 70. So that PRV valve will reduce it. There's ongoing discussions of what it'll look like if we provide bulk water to Addyston. There's talk that we would just pump water in through the master meter and then pull them on a bulk usage rate like a wholesaler. There's also conversation of maybe we would handle their billing as well and meter reading. And so time is of the essence here. We were awarded over an $800,000 grant for this regionalization effort back in May. And the planning has to be complete from the engineer no later than October 31st. And so, we're already behind the 8 ball to get that done if it was approved today. But it needs to be done within the next 2 weeks if there's any chance of us having the planning done and get it to EPA to get this project off the ground. So granting me the authority to do this tonight is imperative so I can negotiate back and forth with Addyston and try to find something agreeable by the deadline. To speak to Addyston's, the great situation they're in, NEOS is closing. I think everybody's aware of that. Addyston's well field where they pump is located on NEOS's property. There's 5 wells on NEOS's property. So one of those is abandoned. I don't know if it for deferred maintenance or doesn't work anymore. And then Addyston retains, if you put them in a line, 1's here and 5's here. Addyston pulls off of well 4 and 5. NEOS pulls off of well 1 and 2. Now, the EPA believes through their studies that there is a considerable toxic plume under there. And the only thing preventing contamination from seeping into Addyston's water system at this point is that NEOS pulls a constant vacuum of water off well 1 and 2, which keeps that plume to the east of Addyston's wells. When NEOS ultimately closes and they stop pumping those wells, that plume within 7 days, it's believed, will infiltrate their first well. Within 7 to 30 days, their other well will also become contaminated. That contains PFAS and other chemicals that aren't safe for drinking. So, this grant is contingent on Addyston agreeing to us providing bulk water and also for them to discontinue and shut off their well systems. So this is really an effort to ensure that Addyston residents have clean drinking water when any of this ultimately does close.
You were being very generous with their pressure. I've never seen much over 40 or 50 Texans tell you the same thing in Addyston. When our fire trucks got to Addyston, we jumped up to the plug. Their trucks didn't have any more. They didn't have any water because and it was really bad. I mean, we finally told them, when you get to the fire, don't need to hook your trucks up. We'll get there and we'll supply the water. But it was 40 to 50. And it was bad.
And you're right. So some of their infrastructure, some of their water mains have been replaced. They can accommodate our pressure. But the older ones, the further you get, second tank,
some of them were 4-inch mains.
The 4-inch mains, which aren't even suitable for fire protection. And also they're, 100 years old.
Plugged in one time. Did we suck a plug down?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just had a couple questions. Justin, are there any other options for Addyston? Number one, is this the only option they have? And number two, not to sound in any way negative or disrespectful, but will our village have any money-making potential off of this contracted deal with Addyston?
Sure. So your first part is, yes, they do have another alternative with Greater Cincinnati Waterworks. So at this point, it's between Greater Cincinnati Waterworks and the Village of Cleves Waterworks on who will take that system over indefinitely. At this point, I call this phase 1, regionalization. Even if we agree to complete this project and provide the bulk water for a period of time, and ultimately they go with Greater Cincinnati Waterworks long term, it still gives us another interconnection where we don't have it at this point. So back in, I believe, December, January, of course, the coldest day of the year, we had a massive main break at St. Anne's. And we were able to limit that. We have a pretty robust system, so we're able to shut off certain valves and bypass. But by having that interconnection to the east, it would allow more residents to not be affected by a water main break, because then we could tap into that system and provide water through that master meter until we've made the repair.
Slight workaround. That's awesome.
So that's the first part. The second part is we don't really know.
Okay.
We don't know until we get in there and we're able to see what the accurate meter readings are and see what the true consumption is.
Just thought it might be a business potential.
Absolutely. So, at this point, we're considering the need in the future for additional administrative staff for our billing, especially as we take on online billing efforts, trying to enhance our services. Also, we need to hire an additional water technician at some point so we can perform our own work. If we don't ever do that, we'll continue to rely on contractors, because it takes a crew of people. It takes an equipment operator, it takes somebody in the hole, it takes somebody digging and directing traffic. If we took on Addyston, the thought is that it would generate enough revenue for us to maybe increase our staff and enhance our services for police residents as well.
Wonderful. And then my last question would be, who would do the work if you did end up contracting this? Where did that lie?
So that goes out the bid. So once the job's planned and sent to OEPA and they approve it, then it goes out to bid.
Okay, thank you.
And Justin, if Addyston does agree to this, how long will the process take?
I think the funding source is available till the end of next year. But October 31st of this year is the deadline to get the plans in. So if it's agreeable, I'd feel confident saying that construction would take place in spring or summer of.
Will it be done in time, Addyston?
I believe it would. I believe that we could meet that deadline, and also as long as there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I do believe INEOS will be a good partner and maintain the vacuum line as well as until construction.
Okay, that was the other question. We were just saying, what happened in the interim? And who picks up the tab for that then, since INEOS would be closed down? Are they going to then put the bill for that, or
For shutting down.
for the vacuum, creating that vacuum you're talking about?
Well, so EPA has agreed to provide money to Addiston's water district. Should they agree to this, this bulk water agreement with us and the regionalization, the EPA is prepared to give them money to shut their system down.
Okay,
And so there would be no contamination into our system from their well fields. So that would be abandoned.
okay, thank you.
How about our pressure? If that water gets turned on, is that gonna affect our pressure at all to have this additional?
No, so everything in that area comes from the Rittenhouse, water tower. And so as we pump from the aquifer over on Kilby Road, we ultimately pump into our water tower and then it's gravity fed.
No, that's good. I just wanted to make sure that the residents of Cleves' water pressure isn't going to be negatively
At
affected.
this point, on average, we pump around 800,000 to 900,000 gallons daily, and we have the ability to pump in excess of 2 million.
Oh, wow.
And this wouldn't be something that financially would cost us anything.
No, not at this point.
Well,
No, this agreement would not, but looking for a long-term solution. If we were to agree to take their water system on, it would ultimately become part of our district at that point. And at that point, this has nothing to do with that, but it's all an effort for down the road to potentially take their water system on. If we did that, we would then become take ownership of their water infrastructure. If they had a water main break or they repair a road, we would put new infrastructure.
So we would get the revenue.
We would get all revenue from the consumers there.
And they would pay at resident prices for water.
They would pay an outer resident price once that's established. And that would be, that's established in the county water contract, and ultimately council would decide, what the water rate will be.
and right now.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I would like to ask council if they would make a recommendation to suspend the rules. And if they do that, motion and it passes, then we'll move on to pass the actual resolution. So do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Bolton. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we're gonna suspend the rules to allow us to, pass, okay, the resolution. And that number is what number, Justin? What is the number of this resolution?
Your resolution 12.
Okay, resolution 12, 2025. This is, our motion is to read this by title only. Resolution authorizing the village administrator to enter a contract to supply bulk water to the village of Addyston. And this motion is only to suspend the rules. So you already made that motion. Did we get a second or not? Second by Ms. Angeline. Patty, please call the roll.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Angeline,
Yes.
Ms. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Abel,
Yay.
Ms. Bolton.
Yay.
Motion passes 5-0. So at this point, I'm asking for a motion to adopt and pass resolution number 12-2025, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to enter a contract to supply bulk water to the village of Addyston. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Badel. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bolton. Any further discussion? Penny, please call the roll.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Angeline,
Yes.
Ms. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Abel,
Yay.
Ms. Bolton.
Yay.
Motion passes the resolution passes 5-0. Okay, so now